Hello, and welcome back to Coding Camp. I'm Ms. Blair, and I will be leading you through this Scratch coding series. If you are just tuning in, I want to let you know that this series builds upon each lesson. The first lesson, Talk to the Animals, was posted September 1st. It goes over the basics of Scratch and vocabulary you'll need to know. Feel free to start there and then catch up. These videos aren't going anywhere. Okay. Let's begin today's lesson. It's called Painting Pictures. Start by going to the website scratch.mit.edu. Remember, we always click on Create. X out of the tutorial because we will be doing this together. Today we will be making a fractal picture using Scratch. Fractals are amazing pictures created using repeating patterns. So we're throwing in some math today. Let's paint a picture. First, we are going to delete the cat Sprite. So remember from last week, we just click on this trash can. Trashed. We need a new sprite, so we're going to come over here to the kitty cat button. That's when you hover over, it says choose a sprite. When we click on that, we go to our sprite library. We are going to choose arrow 1 today because it makes it easy to see which way the sprite is pointing. All right, so let's get coding. First, we're going to go to My Blocks, the pink one at the bottom. We are going to make a block. This one we are going to title Draw Line, D-R-A-W, capital L-I-N-E. Ignore these things for now. We'll do those later. So for right now, we're just going to click OK. Then we need to click on this extension button down here on the left-hand side, because we want to add the pen extension. So mine is right here. I'm just going to click on pen, and then you should notice all these cool new buttons. Oh, I'm so excited to play around with this today. So from here, we are going to click and drag the pen down so it's underneath Define Draw Line. Then we want motion because we want our line to move. So we are going to move 10 steps. But we're going to change 10 to 100 because 10 in Scratch is not very far. Then we're going to go back to the pen and we're going to choose Pen Up. Remember, if I'm going too quickly, always feel free to pause, rewind, and listen again. Okay, so let's click on our custom block. Our sprite made a line. So your sprite should have a line and have moved 100 steps to the right. All right, let's clear this stage and put this arrow in the very center of our stage. To do that, we're going to make a new block. So we go to Make a Block, and we type in Reset, R-E-S-E-T. We click on OK. Good. Now, because y'all know I like to keep things organized, and we've got so much code we're writing today, so I'm going to move my Define Reset over to the side. From there, we go to Motion, my blue blocks, and then we're going to go down here, go to X and Y. So right now it's saying a bunch of crazy numbers. So if we want it to be in the very center, remember our stage is a grid, just like in math class. So the very center should be 0, 0. So I'm going to change X 0 and Y 0. Very good. Then we're going to go to the pen because the whole point of a reset is for there not to be any lines. So the very top pen is Erase All. We're going to click and drag it over. Boom. So now you should click on this block and your line is gone and your arrow should be in the exact center where X is 0, your X-axis is 0, and your Y-axis is 0. Very good. Okay, so lines aren't that exciting. Now that we know how to draw the lines using our new pen tool extension, we can draw shapes. And we draw shapes in Scratch by using an algorithm. An algorithm is a set of simple steps to solve a problem. Okay, so let's make another block. So we go over here to our pink blocks, make a block, and this one is going to be titled Draw Shape. Then we click OK. So I'm going to drag this over here. So now I have my 3 scripts in order. Let's try drawing a square. Okay, so 4 sides, 4 corners, pretty simple. So underneath here, we are going to go to our pen. So some of mine are already here, so I'm just going to scroll so I can see all of the pens. And we're going to choose pen down because we want our pen to be down and drawing for us. Very good. From there, we go to control. And here is our repeat loop. So last time we did if, then, else. We used a lot of these. Today we are going to use a bunch of repeat loops. So we're going to click and drag our repeat to be underneath the pen down. And since we're doing a square, I bet you can guess how many times we want this to repeat. 4. We want it to repeat 4 times because when drawing a square, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. Good. So now we're going to repeat something over here like when we drew our line before. So we've got motion. We are going to move. Remember, we don't want to have 10 steps. We want it to be 100 steps. And then we want it to turn. So far when we did this, it drew a straight line. What we want now is for it to turn and make that corner, that angle. So luckily for us, in motion, it is the second block. So we put turn, and we want it to be 90 degrees, a right angle, because squares have 4 right angles. All right, so click on your define draw shape, and boom, look at that. Look at that awesome square we just drew. So if we want a clean stage, what do we click on? We click on our define reset. So it reset everything for us. So basically it erased our lines. So try clicking on your draw shape, bada bing, and bada boom, it's erased. Very good, very cool. Let's make a more complicated shape. Squares are pretty simple now that we have built upon our line and now we have a square. So let's build a complicated shape. We can do this by using our custom draw shape block and adding some input. So if you right click this define draw shape, you should see add comment, delete block, or edit. We are going to click on edit. It takes us back to this make a block page. From here, we are going to click on add an input, number, or text. So it should add this lovely little input box into our block. From here, we want to type in the word sides, S-I-D-E-S, and click OK. So notice that it added sides in here, and it created a hollow shape over here so that we can input what we want over here, and we specifically told it what we want inside of our block. Click on the word sides within your script, and we're going to drag a copy of it down so it replaces the number 4 in our repeat loop. Very good. To get our sprite to draw a different shape, we need to replace the 90 degrees. So math time, 360 degrees is a whole circle. It's a whole turn. So when we divide 360 by 4, because remember we have the 4 corners of our square, that's how we got 90 degrees. So this time we are going to insert an operator into here so that the operator can do that math for us. So operators are the green buttons on the left-hand side, and we want the one that's got a circle, a slash, and a circle. So input slash input. We are going to drag and drop it into our degrees. The first one, we're going to write in 360 for that whole circle, and then we're going to divide it by our number of sides. So drag and drop sides. Okay, so our turn, we are now telling the computer to do the work, which is nice. So for 100 steps, a full turn is 360, and we're going to divide it by the number of sides. And it's going to do the math for us. I love when Scratch does that. So if we were to click on our block right now, nothing would happen because we haven't defined how many sides our shape is going to be. So let's do that now. So we're going to go back to My Blocks, and then we are going to drag and drop, draw shape with the little operator circle, and you're just going to drop it in your scripts area. Notice it is not touching the code that I'm making. It is off to this side. And here we're going to draw 6. Let's say we want a 6-sided shape. All right, because remember, we are changing the number of sides. So this number in here changes the number of sides. So what is a six-sided shape called? It's a hexagon. So now we should click on the draw shape block, and it should draw us a hexagon. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. Very cool. So if we reset, what if we did 8 sides? Oh, that looks a little funky. But there we go. So if we make it bigger, we got a little funky in there, but you get the idea. You can change your sides by changing that. So let's definitely reset, and let's make this be 6 again. So let's make things a little bit more complicated. Let's draw a flower, because we are all about flower power today. Well, just like everything else that we've done, we have to make a block first. So if you're not already where I am, we are under My Blocks, Make a Block, and this one is going to be titled Petal, P-E-T-A-L, because we are going to be making the petals of our flower. We are going to go ahead and add an insert, an input right off the top, and we're going to click on Add an Input, and we want this input to be size, because we want to be able to affect how large or small our petals are. We click OK. Very good. So it's up here. So I'm going to drag him down here so I can see all of my code at once. From there, we're going to click on Pin, and we want our pen to be down. We want to be drawing. Very good. Control, and we want a repeat loop. So the repeat loop goes underneath the pin down, and we are going to repeat 2 times. In this loop, we are going to drag another repeat loop to fit inside. So repeat 2, and this is going to be repeat 90. Very good. So to make our petal shape, we need to move. Here's our motion. We're going to move, and it goes inside this middle repeat block. But instead of telling it exactly how to move, we're going to drag down size, because we want to be able to control the size, not just have a general number. We want this to be able to kind of change and morph with us not having to go back and rewrite a lot of code. Then we also go to motion, and we're going to turn like we did before, and it goes underneath the move, and we want a very sharp turn to get that really pretty sharp petal shape. So for here, it's going to be change 1 degree. So we're going to turn 1 degree. Then we've got one more motion, turn, and this one, make sure it's in between those 2 repeat loops. So I should see blue, blue, orange, blue, orange. And this turn is going to be that 90-degree turn. Good. So now we're going to do what we did here, where we just drug one of our blocks over, and that's the clickable part. So we go back to My Blocks, and we're going to choose Pedal with our input, and it's going to go right next to the code for it. And we're going to type in 1. This is the size of your pedal, not the number of pedals. This is the size, because remember, our input is size, not number. So we should click on pedal 1, and our sprite is going and moving, and look at that. It drew a pedal for us. All right, so we're going to reset. Since we drew a pedal, let's go ahead and make our full flower. To make a flower, we're going to make a block. Are you tired of making blocks yet? I love it. Okay, so we make a block and we're going to title it flower, F-L-O-W-E-R. And we're going to add 2 inputs this time. So I'm going to click. My first input is going to be petals, P-E-T-A-L-S, because we want to be able to change the amount of petals. And the second input, when we click on add an input, it's going to be size. So we want to be able to change the number of petals and to change the size of the petals, thus changing the size of our flower. So we will click OK. And we're going to drag this and put it over here. This one's going to be a little bit longer, so I'm going to go ahead and scroll down just a little bit. From there, we're going to put in our repeat loop. So we go to Control. We drag the repeat loop underneath. But instead of doing 10, remember we want this number to be easily changeable. So we're going to drag down petals. So we're going to repeat the petals inside of this loop. So from there, we click on My Blocks. And we're going to use this pedal with the input. And we're going to drag the pedal and drop. Inside here, we're going to drag down size, because we always want our petals to be the same size. From here, we need to have that nice turn. So remember, the turn is in motion. So it's turn. Right now it says 15 degrees, but we want to add in that operator, because remember, anytime we can make the computer do math, let's do that. So operators are your green button, and we're going to do that divide by. Very good. Inside here, remember, we want it to say 360 because that's our whole turn. So it's 360 divided by, we're going to pull down petals, the number of petals. Very good. Then we go to My Blocks. And then we need to drag the flower input just to the scripts area. So remember, it's just over here to the side. Then we're going to type in 4. Let's do 4 petals. So remember, this is the number of petals. And then let's do 1, because this is the size. So if you change the number in the first, it's going to change the number of petals. If you change the number in the second input, it's going to change the size. So if we click on flower, it's going to draw our flower on the stage. So there's our 1 petal. There's our second petal. Here's our third petal. and our fourth petal. Very good. So if we go to reset, it clears it out for us. Because let's do one more thing with our code. If you followed along with me this far, let's make it be really awesome and wow when you go show mom, dad, cousin, teacher, brother, librarian. So let's make super flowers. This is going to be the longest code that we've done so far, so I'm going to scroll so I have some room at the bottom. And this one is going to be controlled by the flag. So remember in the first one we talked about that this runs our program and that this stops our program when you set it to. So we're going to go ahead and go to events. And this top one is when the green flag is clicked. We're going to drag that into our scripts area because now we want our code to start when we click the flag. Very good. Motion, we want our arrow to start right in the center. So remember, if we're starting right in the center, X and Y should be 0, 0. So we're going to do the go to X, Y. And if yours isn't already set to 0 and 0, make sure that your numbers on the inside are 0 and 0. Very good. Then we go to pin. We're going to erase all. So let's say you had run your flower and you already had a flower. So when the flag is clicked, your marker is going to go back to the center. Your sprite's going to go back to the center and it's going to erase everything before it starts this code. That's what we've told it so far. Set pin color. So let's change colors. So we're going to set pin color to 0. Type in here. It's going to be 0 because as it goes on, we want our flowers to change color. To do so, we're going to make a variable. So much like making blocks, we're going to make a variable. So when you click on the orange variables button, you come up here to make a variable. We're going to click on make a variable and we've got petals, P-E-T-A-L-S. We click OK. Remember, whenever we make a variable, it shows up on our stage. We don't want that, so we click on the blue arrow, boom, it's gone. From there, we're going to set. So we're going to drag, set my variable to 0, click the down arrow of my variable, and we highlight and click on petals. So our petals are going to set to 4. From there, so meaning we're going to have 4 petals. From there, we are going to repeat. So we go to control. We're going to have our repeat loop. We're going to repeat that 12 times, or we're going to repeat what's inside of here 12 times. Let's make another variable. We've got our variables because now we want to do just like up here we created petals and size. We need to make variables for petals and size. So we have petals, so let's make a variable. This one is size. We click OK. Remember, it shows up here, so we delete it over here. From size, we're going to set my variable to, and this goes inside your repeat loop, drop down box, size, 2, inside here, 2. So we've set our size to 2. Then we have another repeat loop. Very good. And we're going to repeat this one also for 12. And inside here, we're going to use a block that we've already made. So we go to My Blocks. We're going to do the flower with 2 inputs. And then we want our variables in here now. So we go back to the variables we have made. We're going to put petals in the first input, And we are going to put size in the second. Now we want to change our size. So we're going to change, goes under flower. Remember to drop down and click on size. And let's change our size by -0.1. So we will get smaller. Let's change our pen color. So let's go to pen. And we're going to do change pen color. I'm going to put this in here. Let's change it by 7. So we can have rainbow flowers. And then the last block that we've got, we go to variables. And it's going to be change my variable, but this one goes in between those two loops, just like we did the last time. So it should be the green change pen, orange repeat loop, darker orange change, and then that second repeat loop. So changing petals, because we've already changed our size. So let's change petals by, type in 0.5.5. Okay, so here is our whole code to make this flower power super flower program run. If we would just click the flag, it's going to move very slow and take a very long time to finish running this whole code. So hover over the green, hold down your Shift key, and click on the green flag. When you hold down the Shift key and press the green flag, it turns you into turbo mode, meaning that your script, your code that you wrote is going to go really, really fast. So I'm going to make this large by doing full screen control up here. Then I'm going to click on the green flag. Whoa! That's pretty cool, pretty cool, pretty cool. Look at that. Look at how pretty that is. If we want to see it again, we can click the green flag again. So that's pretty impressive. Using the loops is what gives us the opportunity to make multiple flowers, because we're repeating our code inside. We're repeating the flowers over and over and over. Very good. Look at all this code you did today. Look at all of this. This is much more than we did last week, so this is awesome. I made it small. Very good. So congrats. You have made it through the second coding camp class. That's impressive. This is so impressive. You should be so proud of yourself. Play around within the values of the variables. So if you play around with all of the variable sizes and how many times you want it to repeat, then you should be able to make different shapes, which would be very cool. If you make different shapes, I'd really like to see them so you can post them for us to see. That would be awesome. So great job. Make sure to come back next week to learn more awesome Scratch coding skills.